Hey y'all, Merry Christmas! It's Andrew Reed with the Mushroom Cast with Monster Creek Mushrooms. And joining me, as always, is my ever lovely wife, Samantha Reed. Oh my gosh, you are out of focus.
Oh, yeah?
Yes,
Not
you
blurry?
are. Yes, you are. Okay, hold on a second. I gotta fix this. Everybody enjoy the grow room for a second while I fix this. Talk to people, tell them hello.
I broke it. I broke the camera.
I don't know how I did that.
Hey, the blur takes away the fine lines and the wrinkles, right?
That is what they say.
Aw. Well, we've had people come up and type in happy holidays in return, so thank you guys. And to you as well.
One day, I'll get this show correct. No more technical difficulties. If you guys remember, I said January 1st. Okay. That's the official. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was terrible in the headphones. All right. What a wonderful start. Sorry we were sick last week, guys. It apparently has affected my ability to function. So, well, today we are talking about the beginner's toolkit. And of course, just having a little bit of Christmas fun and answering people's questions. So, hopefully, going to be a good show. I might change into a t-shirt in a little bit. I really started with this festive, Odin sweater and stuff. But I'm starting to get a little red in the face. It's hot in here. And I just got out of the sauna. So
You're matching your shirt and your hat.
I know, right? Oh my goodness, I am actually a little red. Anyways, as far as today goes, we're really just discussing the beginner toolkit. And by toolkit, we don't necessarily mean the supplies you need to have on hand as a beginner to grow mushrooms. And we're not looking at this just from a farming aspect, but just from a common cultivator's aspect. And we're wanting to look at more your toolkit for your mind, for your perspective, and what kind of things are going to be helpful there. So, you got anything to add, Samantha?
I got distracted. Sorry.
Well, she got distracted. Well, either way, just before we really get it started, if you guys wouldn't mind just hitting that like button, share this around with anybody you're willing to share it with. Make sure to comment, as always, because otherwise we won't be able to answer your questions. And subscribe, because over 40% of y'all ain't subscribed but still watch my stuff.
I made those, by the way. I'm very proud of those graphics.
Oh, nice. Yeah, see, we're getting better, bit by bit. We were just in a hurry here before we got started, which is why the camera was all out of focus. But anyways, we've got it down. So, Spectre, we got people in the chat already.
We do.
Do we want to hit questions first, or do you want to start talking about anything in particular?
Well, there are a few questions that have already... We've got a few people who weren't able to make it because it was in the middle of the night, so they kind of started off and dropped some questions. So I'm afraid if we go much longer, we might lose those.
Okay, well, let's hit those first.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do those. Let's hit a few questions, and we'll start it as on the beginner's toolkit.
Aw. So Vlad said that he really wanted to stay and catch the stream, but it was already in the middle of the night. So I had said...
You can't mouth to the mic.
Okay, computer comes closer. But he said that essentially that he has wild strains and they grow like they don't have any air. And so it says I try to evacuate. I'm guessing that's
vent. We probably
vent and do the fresh air exchange to get more fresh air in there. And he says it's 10 to 12 degrees, the temps in his grow room. And it grows fine outside, but he feels like something's wrong with the grow room and... He just is looking for some insights.
Well, he probably just needs to increase his airflow, is what it sounds like. I don't put mine on timers. I have my air evacuating 24/7. Even if I need to put it on a low setting, I put it on a low setting. So, one of the best things really to do would be, if you can, get like an Inkbird CO2 sensor and have that hooked up to your fans so that... You're going completely by CO2.
Well, and the mushrooms will tell you too. Like they'll get super leggy. if
Yeah.
they don't have enough. But he did say that they can tell that they're not quite. He can tell that they're not quite happy. But he has
Well,
no
and
idea.
that's another point actually is when you start working with wild strains, are we actually still talking about Pleurotus austriatus? Because if you remember, we have House Mountain, and House Mountain is Pleurotus cornucopiae, which is, I believe I'm saying that right, which is a different type of oyster mushroom, also known as the branched oyster, which is very tall, very leggy, even when it's got plenty of oxygen. So
And it's bouncy.
and it is very bouncy. It's a good
I don't
strain.
know why I like that so much, but I don't know. It just I really like it. That's actually one of my favorites. It's the closest that an oyster mushroom will ever get to an enoki, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's my enoki oyster, for sure. So hopefully that helps, Vlad. I mean, it sounds like your mushrooms are telling you what they want. I mean, I would just go ahead and hit them with some more fresh air.
Especially if they're doing really, really well outside, but they're struggling whenever they're going back into the grow room. That very well could be it. That you just need a higher parts per million kind of exchange.
Yeah.
And then Thomas has said that he started a gourmet mushroom business, and the first 3 weeks went great, but then my stove went up. I'm guessing his store went up, and now he's a week behind in spawn production. How can he get back on track? That is forever.
That is the name of the game, yeah, man. It's the constant ratcheting up.
We still struggle with this, especially whenever we have this just huge influx during Christmas, at Black Friday. Even though we didn't run a Black Friday sale, we still had an enormous amount of support, and we're still getting caught up on orders for that. But there's a few different ways that you can push spawn production without sacrificing quality.
Yeah, so one way is to up your LC if you're using liquid culture. So one way to run spawn faster is to just add more biomass or more inoculant at the inoculation stage. So, you're talking like if you normally do 10 milliliters of liquid culture to inoculate a 5-pound bag, then you can do 60 milliliters and have that done in very few days. So, excuse me. That's one way to really get it going faster. The next would be to shake it once it's really, once you have a good amount of growth, shake it, get it evenly spread, and then it'll grow in faster than if you just inoculate it in one place. But really, that's
don't stress it out in any way.
Yeah, don't stress it out. Warmer temps, run it as warm as you can, but not so warm that you're going to cause problems. So
the cooler temperatures will slow it down. So if you get it in a good middle point. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
And then with the 60 mils, there's a trick that we do with that will oversaturate the bag. Right?
Oh, you talking about with the pellets in the bottom of the spawn bags? Yeah, we put a few pellets in the bottom of our spawn. So it'd be like hardwood fuel pellets or oat hulls or soy hulls. Whatever your fruiting substrate is going to be, if it's in pellets. That just helps to soak up a little bit more LC. Plus, we make our grain a little drier than a lot of people do nowadays. So we can inoculate really anywhere from 10 milliliters to 100 milliliters per bag. And we'll go up to 100 milliliters. If we do 100 mils, then I pump 100 milliliters of liquid culture into the bag, close it up, seal it, and then shake it like it's grain. But we almost always only do that with aerated liquid culture because we can free pour aerated liquid culture. So, what are you smiling about?
Just the awesome, thoughtful questions that are coming in.
Excellent. Well, feed them.
And I'm recognizing a name on here, Eric.
Is it Skew?
Aw, Jake Will's Festive Andrew bringing us content.
That's right. Yeah, man. I mean, I look too much like young Santa to pass it up. So, I guess it's not really Santa, It's got my horse has 8 legs, so.
Yeah, so Bad Tentacles has said, when you talk about toolkit, he's bringing us back to topic, keeping us on track here.
Mm-hmm.
But what kind of top 10 things do you think people should know, or the number one thing you have learned that you feel you need in that toolkit?
Well, that's actually the whole topic for tonight, so we'll have plenty of chances to go over that. I even have a short 5-minute video put together in part from some of the stuff from the Discord, where I asked a few people of varying experience levels to put together their lists. My big thing is to not specialize too early, too fast. Like, get into the mushrooms, start working mushrooms, and then play with a wide variety of things until you find what part you're really going to enjoy doing, and what part's going to actually feed you. You can't do just what you enjoy. You have to do what, if you're going to do this as a profit enterprise anyways, you need to do it in such a way that A, you can enjoy it enough that you're going to keep it up and keep doing it, and B, that you're going to have enough money to put shoes on your kids' feet and a house over their head. So, because otherwise, you won't enjoy it for very long.
No.
Nope. Nope. That's really one of the biggest things for me, is to stay a generalist for a while. There's a term called mediocre. It's put forward by a guy named Venkatesh Rao of
That is such a good...
Right? Of Ribbon Farm. That's what it is. Ribbon Farm. It's a blog. If you type in Google, like, mediocre Ribbon Farm, you'll find Venkatesh's article on it. The idea, in a way, behind this blog post is, through the crisis events, the extinction level events throughout history, throughout life's history, what kinds of things have survived? And it tends to be, so I don't remember exactly how you put it, and I'm hoping that we're more than 10 minutes into this. Well, then I'll just refrain from cussing for a second, but as I should refrain always. But the whole point is that the things that survive the extinction level events are mediocre. They are, what survived the dinosaur extinction. Mediocre birds. Really crappy birds. That's what survived. Right? Like the Saurian... Is it Saurian dinosaurs? Avian dinosaurs. So the avian dinosaurs survived, but birds were not anywhere near as complex and well adapted and well evolved and now super specialized as they are now. So many classifications of them. It was the stumpy little wings with some kind of feathers on them that allowed them to fly well enough that they survived, right? So it was a mediocre bird. So having some sort of fat reserve, right, gives you a slight advantage, but keeps you a generalist. Like, this whole idea of being the generalist tend to survive and then move on and specialize in the next formulation, right, the next variation of the ecosystem. They then specialize, and then the next extinction level event happens, and the generalists carry over again. So.
On insects, too. Like, there's a lot of different... all sorts of different beings that have gone through where you see something kind of similar, where it's the mediocre type that ends up going forward. Yeah.
The point is that the specialists have specialized into the niches of this ecology, right? And so when the ecology falls apart, that niche no longer exists. Whether they're insect or bird or anything, they just no longer have the setup to survive that they did. The ones that survive are the ones that are capable of fulfilling niches whenever those niches are empty.
Yeah, so the general, like you said, the general population that can kind of survive, the jack of all trades, essentially, right?
Yeah, jack of all trades and master of none kind of thing.
Can survive enough across a lot of areas that they carry on.
And I would say, we all have seasons of life, so you don't want to stay a generalist forever. But when you're entering into a new field like mushrooms, I would stay a generalist for a good long while before you hit that season that it becomes time for you to specialize.
And then kind of going back to one of your blogs that you published, being good enough at kind of every little thing in order to be able to have enough of a grasp of the whole to be able to continue forward.
Yep.
And troubleshoot if you need to.
Mm-hmm. I can dig it.
Yeah.
I don't,
Andrew and I have talked about this today and yesterday and the day before, that since we've been sick, it seemed to be like this weird long flu. I don't know how else to describe it, but we've just been off.
like, just not fully here. Yeah, absolutely.
It is nice to breathe, though. Like, I can actually.
I'm not.
It's so awesome.
I'm not there completely yet. I'm getting there.
Missed it.
It moved down to my chest, so I've got to actually have a few. Like, I'm a constant tickle I'm fighting right now.
Aw, I'm sorry.
It's okay. There it goes.
Well.
But.
Well, Chris said that he 10 to 12 degrees, kind of going back to the beginning on Vlad's comment, Celsius was too low, that his is 15 Celsius, which is 59 Fahrenheit, that things are slow, but they're growing well, just as well slow. And we've seen that in our grow, like our operation in our grow room.
Yep.
The Enokis are doing phenomenally well. In fact, we dehydrated a bunch of them, and they smelled just like freeze-dried bananas.
Oh my gosh, so good.
It's pretty remarkable.
I've actually just dried a bunch. I'm about to make an Enoki wine. I'm going to do a 1-gallon test batch, see how it does.
Oh, someone suggested hot cider.
Hey, I actually have some, and it's waiting for me after the show. It actually wouldn't be bad to have some right now. Maybe we can kick Samantha out on that 5-minute thing to make some.
Make you a cup, have it steaming. But
absolutely. So she's gotten into reading, you guys, and not. I didn't know I was supposed to take over yet. So tonight's smooth, guys, super smooth. So as far as the beginner's toolkit goes, one of the things that I really look at is being able to shift your perspective. It's good to always have, a perspective shift in the way that, like, failure, the way we deal with failure in our culture tends to be pretty detrimental. And thankfully, there are a lot of people who have healthy ways of dealing with failure. But for me, the way I heard it one time from Gary Vaynerchuk was that failure was cheaper than a college education. And that's kind of become a mantra for me, is just, I went to school for 1 year, went seminary 1 year, and then I went to an actual college for a year. And you come out of college with student loan debt. In my first year, I had thousands of dollars of debt. And then when I started growing mushrooms, yeah, my mistakes cost me, but they didn't cost me thousands of dollars, and I ended up actually making money. So I learned to grow mushrooms while getting into the business, and it was I actually got paid to learn. And so failure became very different. It became not as disastrous. Like, when you're in school, failure is a bad thing. You're punished for it. But, when I started getting into mushrooms and I failed, it ended up becoming a very good thing. That's one more thing I've just learned. That's one more thing I've learned not to do. One thing I've learned not to count on. One piece of equipment I've learned not to trust constantly. Or one piece of equipment that I've learned the maintenance schedule for. Okay, it failed at 14 this time, and it failed at 14 runs last time. So that means that from now on, I need to do maintenance on my boiler every 13 runs.
And failure becomes kind of, fun in a way, because then you're poking and prodding and see what twitches and what works and what doesn't. And then you have total control to turn around and take that point of failure and turn it into a learning point and
so
push successes instead.
Yeah. So actually changing my perspective to courting failure, being seducing failure, we'll say, actually led to me having more successes, and being a little bit more, free about it, being getting rid of the stress of that failure. there are many perspective shifts I've gone through with this business. I wish that I had most of them in the beginning. So, one is working backwards, picking a target, and then working our way back to what are the steps necessary to accomplish this target. One of the other things I've heard long ago was that humans are target acquisition platforms, right? We're one of the few things with a really nice rotator cuff, the ability to put our entire body into a throw, stereo vision, and really great depth perception. And so we are pretty much everything about us is built to find a target, aim at that target, and hit that target. And so we can take that and go, you know what, that's what we excel at. We can do that even with the goals that we pick in life. We can find that target, aim and do the calculations, and then execute on finding that target.
In a while, this reminds me of the Griswold family Christmas movie.
Maybe it's my hat.
Maybe that.
I have been told I look like Cousin Eddie a lot.
Just the failures, the myriad of failures in that movie, and then how he overcomes them in very creative ways. And then the spray that he puts on the bottom of the and how wildly successful that is, right?
We did just watch that movie within a few days ago, so it may be on our mind. This is actually a family tradition. We watch that movie every year. I can quote the whole dang movie.
Oh, it's fun. It's definitely a tradition.
I love it.
We do really like it.
Absolutely. I will say that we end up getting a lot of lively conversations in our Discord. When I asked about this, there started some lively conversations. Not all of it within good fun, but there was in particular, and I liked this one because I picked this out. Fox dropped it in the Discord, but Foxy and Noah started. And Noah was talking about, just before you start just playing around with stuff, listen to the older guys, which is actually really good advice. And then Foxy's like, no, screw that. Just experiment with everything and see what happens, which is also good advice. But it would end up being one of those things where, they didn't really have much more of an argument than that, but you get these little lively conversations, and Fox runs this Reddit called Experimyco, so shout out to Experimyco Reddit. Those guys basically just go into a Reddit subreddit together and just play with things that they know shouldn't work to find out what works, and it's pretty cool. But we actually have a state-of-the-art example. We talked to a forensics lab, and they put together what this conversation between Foxy and Noah looked like, and here it is.
Obviously, don't go and do that, please.
Hey, you do whatever you like.
We can't condone anything of the sort.
No, we can't. Live!
It's...
Exactly like that.
Oh, yeah?
It was exactly like that. Fox actually put that together, so which is why his Experimyco logo is right there at the top. So, just if you guys want to see some kind of weird and insane experiments, you should definitely check out the Experimyco subreddit. But we have a lot of fun in the Discord. So, I really couldn't find it very quickly, but I wanted to use the. But I didn't want to use it on YouTube because last time I used it on YouTube was for the Golden Enoki video, and it killed my video. YouTube didn't like it because it was the Paul Stamets Teletubby Sunrise.
Oh, that Jesse made.
That Jesse made for our group. And where Paul Stamets is the sun that's rising. But then they said it was copyright infringement.
Aw.
So, yeah, so they still... I actually got YouTube to admit that it was not copyright infringement, and they still have not released my video from a they said it was targeted towards kids. That's what it was, actually, now that I think about it. It was targeted towards kids because it was Teletubbies. I was like, this is absolutely not targeted towards kids. But they won't release it. Speak to YouTube, guys. Tell them to release the files. What else you got for me, baby?
Not everybody's been kind of quiet.
Is it?
But I was thinking that out of the two of us, I'm the research-aholic, and then you are the button pusher.
It's true.
And it's often Andrew that, pushes things forward in that way. And then I'm the one that's kind of holding things, hey, hold on a second. Let's not do that crazy blow up experiment. But yeah.
And I'm like, no, blow it up. Blow it up.
I'm the safe one.
Yeah. We know where I'm at. So we don't have any more questions on right now, because we don't. I can throw in that 5-minute video.
Well, so Puff It Around has said that his king Elsie has formed a spider web on the top. And you can see the mycelium on the bottom. What are your thoughts on that?
What do you mean by spider web?
If it's an LC, I'm assuming maybe it's in
Like
the...
a pellicle is growing across the top?
I don't know.
Pellicle being the peptone pancake, the fungal body that floats on the top.
I think mine might be frozen too. I don't know. But maybe you can clarify that a little bit.
I don't know. My chat actually died very first thing here, so I'll have to pull it up.
It is very, very cold where we are, so I know we've had some... the electricity's gone out a few times here in the winter. It's been in the 20s, so...
Gotcha.
Wi-Fi might be a little...
Dope Tip said, please help walk me through what I'm doing wrong. You said in the grow room overview video, you said something like a lot of people burn out those House of Hydro kits because they don't know what they're doing the first time around. Yeah, that is what happens a lot of times. People will burn those out by having them in too small of a container, or have them in a container where the fresh water is not being added. So the top layer of the water can get really hot in a still bin. So what we do is a big black tote, 12 disc fogger. You want to make sure that your discs the rings are tightened. What I do is I tighten them and then loosen it just a tiny little bit. And because you don't want those discs clamped down too tight. Another good thing too is to reach out to John Broadhead or check out his website and check out anything for the House of Hydro. Check out anything that they have on care for their units, because you never know what they're going to have up there. But John will either tell you how to take care of it or have some way, like a frequently asked questions form or something on how to take care of it. Heat is the devil to those things. Heat will absolutely destroy your units. When they do... not when they do, before they do, the only way to really cure that is to have a large enough reservoir. Make sure that your unit is turning off. You don't want it to run all day, every day. If it has to run all day, a day or two or something like that, I've noticed that mine, will do that sometimes. But really what you want is for it to turn on, run for a little while, cut off, and cool down for a little bit. You want your automatic refill valve built in there so that you're getting fresh, cool water to keep the water from building up heat. And what I do is a lot of people put their fan on the same sensor or setting or whatever as that's pushing the fog out of the humidifier. They'll put that on with the actual transducer, meaning that the fan only kicks on when the transducer kicks on, and I don't do that. I leave my fan running 24/7, so that even while the transducer is off, that air is flowing over the water, picking up, that moving air is picking up heat and dispelling the heat out of the unit as well. So you have constant airflow over the transducer. You have water constantly. Every time a drop of water comes out, a drop of water comes in and is cool, so that it helps to keep everything nice and cool. And then you want your transducer to not run constantly, because that will wear and tear on your discs and build up heat. Because as the heat builds, the wear and tear builds on the discs.
And would you say that swinging your humidity also helps with that?
I would, because if your humidity, if your top set out at 95% or 85%, I try to set it somewhere where it can actually reach, and that's just going to take some playing around in your grow room. But you want your humidifier to kick on reach a point like 85% and kick off, and then come all the way back down to like 65%, and then kick back on. And that way it's off for a little while. It's got a time to cool. In fact, see, that is my grow room cam, and there's no fog running right now, which means that my humidifier still has the fan. It's just above the camera. So it's still got the fan running. It's just no fog being pushed right now. We'll keep checking in, see if it's there a little bit. That was just a test tonight to see if I could run an HDMI cable that far. And I could, barely. I also just recently found out about Wi-Fi HDMI. So we're going to see if we can't get some grow room cameras and some other cameras around the shop put in for during the live show. Might have different segments. Where'd she go? she kicked the heater. It's not. Don't stop. Don't worry about it. It's not even plugged up.
I was trying to fix it.
Well, I'm trying to keep you from having to fix it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
He said, "I hear you on that heat tip. I've come to find it super hot. I just got to plumb it into my system. Thanks for the tip on the fan being on a separate power source. Makes so much sense. You're absolutely welcome. And I hope that really works." Samantha, it looks like we've had some stuff come in since then, so I can't keep up with the chat on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had a few people ask about will the humidifier stay clean with the fan constantly running?
Well, that's why it's so important to not have your humidifier in your grow room, or if your humidifier reservoir is in your grow room, you want your humidifier closed up with positive pressure, right? So your humidifier can have positive pressure, and then your grow room negative pressure, and it still shouldn't keep your grow room from having that negative pressure because the fans are so much smaller for the humidifier. What we do is we bring in clean air from our preconditioning room. Our preconditioning room being the hallway just outside of our grow room. So
we call it the Great Hall.
yeah, the Great Hall, because it's right now I'm facing the doorways for it. We've got this, which used to be a grow room, that over there, which is now incubation, which used to be a grow room, and then our third grow room. So we have one grow room running, one grow room acting as incubation, one grow room acting as a studio, and then old incubation now being man of war, some storage space, while they're still looking for some storage space. So we're pulling the air from the clean hallway, and then each one of these rooms has a vent up top that pulls, creating negative pressure in each room. And so when we have that negative pressure, we're able to pull clean air that's dumped from the HVAC system, HRVs, etc., and then it just dumps it right over the humidifier. And so it's got nothing more than like a little bit of dust. It's not like spore-laden air or bacteria-laden air like you might have if you had your humidifier in your grow room.
And then I clean it weekly. We also have a UV light in there that really helps. It's just like a fish tank UV light, right?
Yep.
Like an aquatic.
Oh, it's the one that I think we just got them from House of Hydro.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. Yep, I think that's what it was. So, speaking of, let's check our grow room. Still no fog. Dang it. It'll show up, I promise. Actually, this is a really good opportunity to, you want to do the sponsor for the show?
Yeah.
Okay, we just go ahead and hit the sponsor for the show. Surprise! It's not me. It's not me this time. It's always me. But this time it's not me. Hey, there's still Cactus Hat Coffee. Cactus Hat is still selling coffee. You can still use code Mossy for that lion's mane coffee. That shit is so good. And then tonight's... you're going to have to prepare your station. Tonight's sponsor is House of Hydro, actually. So before we get into all that, code Mossy, make sure you put code Mossy in the notes section when you order, not just the code section. We're going to go through it all. He actually has a kit here. We got it in the mail. We're going to unbox it all tonight. And we're going to be doing some tutorials, not tonight, but we'll be doing some tutorials later on building new humidifier systems. So for now, here's Samantha. And let's check out our knife safety. And everyone criticize. Oh my goodness, Samantha, look at that.
Now you're
Don't
making
cut yourself.
I'm
No, I'm
not.
just playing.
You're making me nervous. Stop that.
While she's working on this, guys, everyone like, share, comment, subscribe. Like it. All right. So what do we got? Well, here, okay, I'm going to explain it because she's going to. There's no way she can microphone and stuff. So when you order from House of Hydro, you'll get a card like that. Here, let me have that card. Let's see, a little card. House of Hydro, John Broadhead. Start pulling, Samantha. Pull it.
I thought you were.
No,
Sorry.
go. We're doing this quick. I don't want to be on this forever. People don't want to see a commercial forever. All right. Wow, that was loud on the microphone.
Sorry.
All right, so the first one we have transducers here. That is a 12-disc transducer. They're very shiny. I like it when they're shiny. You may be able to hear how heavy they are. Yeah, we got 2 of them.
Wow.
We just went into our last backup, so now we have another primary and another backup. That's I think that should be all.
Well packaged.
Yeah, they're well packaged, well taken care of. Anytime you guys have an issue, make sure you contact John. Don't just go, oh, House of Hydro failed me, or
It's like
this
the
unit.
best present ever.
That's right. Always check it out. The reason why I love House of Hydro so much is because of their customer service. So, oh, look, it's like Disney Princess or Disney Minnie Mouse. There we go. All right, so that's the first box. Can I have one of those transducers and you can set the other one aside? So,
They're so shiny and new and
yes,
beautiful.
they are. Get that other box ready. So, what we have here is the transducer. You've got these sonic discs and then these rings, and they comes with a little tool to change those out. When you use code Mossy in the notes, you will get an extra set of the discs. It knocks maybe like $1 off the price, so you're not actually getting much of the money knocked off, but you do get a whole set of discs, which is actually worth like $50. So it actually gets you replacements for whenever these discs start to wear out. And you can see that just because they'll start putting off a little less fog. Once those things wear out, you just take your little key, open them up, change them out. We've actually got a whole video on how to change those out. Another card. All right, she's opening the second box. Oh man, it's almost like a light just opened up on your face when you open that box.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Oh wow! Like this is.
Yeah, we were getting a full setup. So those are bulkheads for your fan.
Okay. 3, 4.
Well, wow, yeah, that's going to be really handy for when we build the Sterilite bin build.
You should wrap this in Christmas.
Right. Here we go. So the waterproof UV sterilizer light. You guys can just buy the whole kit, like I said, off House of Hydro. That helps to keep bacteria down. These discs, where they vibrate, actually can atomize the bacteria in the water, and when the fog can actually carry that bacteria. That's true of any misting system. Water droplets actually will do it far more, but that UV light will help keep down bacteria from growing, algae and that kind of stuff. It literally just will, kills everything. So
I also alternate whenever
you speak into the microphone.
I also alternate whenever I clean our humidifier. 1 week I'll clean it with vinegar, and then the next week I'll clean it with not mineral oil, and I'll clean it with bleach. And so it kind of helps. The vinegar will help if you have hard water like we do. The vinegar will help break everything down and get it nice and clean and shiny, and it'll help that UV light shine through really, really well. Also, thank you so much, John and his wife, for sending us this. It means a lot. So.
Absolutely.
But
There's that is a humidistat. So you have a temperature controller and a humidity controller. So that can control, a fan. So if it gets too hot, the fan will kick on. And then you have the humidity controller for, obviously controlling your humidity, kicking your humidifier on and off. Those are pretty easy to program. So I will say, as far as like that,
We can do a video on that too, right?
we absolutely can. Yeah. As far as like running your ventilation fans, my favorite is actually Inkbird's CO2 sensors, or just to have your fan on all the time. But it's hard to control a grow room via heat. I wonder if that temperature probe's waterproof.
How would you know?
I don't know. Let's check it out later, though. Let's keep going.
They'll never know.
We will know. We'll know, and then we'll explain it in the humidification video. So there's the waterproof fans. Here, hand me one, because I can't read it in your camera. So it's a HydroFlow 120 millimeter waterproof fan kit. I've used these quite a bit. They will collect spores if you have them in your grow room, so they need to be cleaned, and it's actually really easy to spray them down. You want to make sure you don't get the water in the direction of the electronics, but it will. These are very easy to clean and keep spores off of it if you have it in your grow room. Again, I suggest having your fan and your ventilation stuff outside of the grow room if possible.
Also, on that UV light, make sure that you unplug that before you clean anything.
Yes, always unplug everything on the humidifier before you reach your hands in there. Water and electricity don't mix.
Jingle bells.
So your hardware for your fans.
And I believe that is all at the moment.
Okay. Awesome. We didn't need to buy the floats since we already had floats. And again, I know I'm kind of really digging into the House of Hydro stuff. In all honesty, I get a kickback for anytime you guys use the code. But this is the exact same stuff we're using in our grow room. Hey, there's the fog right now. So you guys can see that the fog is up above. It's being blown out by the fan up an elevator and then falling down right there in front of the camera. Making sure that our lion's mane and the enoki back there look really nice. I actually wish I had more mushrooms to show you guys, but this is the first crop of mushrooms we've grown in a while, and we've had so many people show up just at the shop for Thanksgiving and Christmas wanting to pick up mushrooms. So I literally had a bunch of enoki bouquets that I had saved for you guys, and we had someone stop in and buy them today. And we're like, well, it's the last mushrooms we've got, but we better sell them. So
Yeah, they were doing like a friends giving sort of thing, but for Christmas, and she was wanting to buy them and take them to her friend for her Christmas present. So I was like, how could I say no to that? We've got to make sure you have plenty of these to take with you. So that's what we did.
That's okay. We just stocked the grow room full of oysters. We'll move the grow room cam again, and hopefully the grow room will be will be joining us every week.
Well, and something that I really like about it too is that we have that swing humidity, but it's also such a fine, cool mist. Like, it doesn't leave a lot of water on the floor.
Yeah.
So it's just, and the mushrooms absorb it really easily. And you don't see the bruising on the caps that you can with like a regular humidifier that's a bit more heavy, especially the heated ones. Plus, with the fire, I will never go back to those ever again.
Oh yeah, the old ones. And then I'm just not a fan of the pressure misting systems. I've seen low pressure misting systems. I think most people agree. There's a lot of people, some of the bigger growers as well, that use the high pressure misting systems, and I'm just not really into those. To me, it's a lot easier to vent my humidity than it is to do plumbing. Not that it's terribly difficult to do the plumbing necessarily, but it's just so much easier just to run a vent, like a flexible duct or PVC. I saw what John said. He said he swears that mushroom's grown since. I mean, it might have. Like, it would be interesting to pull the footage. I mean, they do grow quick. Look at it. It's just sitting there malevolently growing in the grow room.
So don't forget the Wilhi.
That's this controller. We've already went over it. I'm gonna throw this transducer right here.
Nice. Also, the discs are not difficult to replace. I mean, you have these little keys, and you just unscrew it, pop it off, and then replace it with a new little ceramic disc.
Yep. Pro tip: buy like an under the sink filter with like the 3-stage filter or whatever with the carbon and whatnot, and just plug it in line to your system, and you will get so much less limescale buildup on your transducers, and that will actually lengthen the life of them by a long shot. So again, so just before we end this, use code Mossy, but don't just put code Mossy in the code section, put it in the notes section. There's something with John's system that sometimes they miss it if it's just in the codes, and if it's in the notes, they won't miss it. So you'll make sure that you get that extra $50 worth of discs for free, and helps to support the channel by giving me a small kickback commission on the sale. So thank you guys for that.
Catherine wants to know if we're using a waterproof camera.
No, well, yes, technically, I guess we are.
Is that the 1080?
It's the Canon 80D.
Oh, sorry.
The lens,
I was thinking about frame size.
I don't think that lens is waterproofed. I have waterproof lenses, but the lens that's on it right now is a cheap lens. But no, I'm not really worried about it. That fog, the camera's not really in the fog. It's just kind of in front of the fog. So, should be safe.
Yeah, it's just peeping in there.
Absolutely. Well, let's just go over this 5-minute video real quick. Again, this is kind of just a collection of wisdom from the Discord. So, this is the beginner's toolkit. Welcome to the world of mushroom cultivation, a journey filled with growth, learning, and the magic of nature. Seeking the wisdom of the community, I turned to our Mossback Mushroom Syndicate, into the Discord server, and I asked experienced growers and new growers alike what they believe is crucial for beginners. Jacob Wolves answered and emphasized resourcefulness, utilize local resources effectively, learn to sell, and listen to those with experience. While Everyday Mushrooms advises starting small, conduct market research before you expand, master the basics, and then grow your business. Joe Naiman, with his experience in microgreens, underscores the importance of customer service and sales. He says honesty is key, both with yourself and your customers. Frugality and lean operations are vital. As Joe points out, good bookkeeping is essential for a successful farm. Continuous learning is also crucial. Engage with resources like the Lean Farmer and the Farmer's Office to enhance your business skills. Noah reminds us to learn from successful farmers. Innovation comes after mastering the basics. George focuses on technical skills, sterile technique, pressure cooker fundamentals, and environmental controls, as all of them are essential. But Foxy teaches us that mistakes are learning opportunities, setting achievable goals, and starting with simpler varieties like oysters. I especially like that mistakes are learning opportunities. Kingwood Mushrooms suggests decide whether or you're going to go into this as a hobby or for profit. This will drastically guide your approach. Whether you're a hobbyist or planning a large-scale operation, these insights from the Mossback Mushroom Syndicate and beyond offer a solid foundation for your mushroom cultivation journey. As far as basics go, some of the ones that I look at are learning to work with agar. But while that skill set is one of the basics that I hold fundamental and dear, something more fundamental and dear that I hold is working backwards. Starting with the fruiting of the mushrooms. I suggest that people start by buying a kit, growing that kit out, something easy. Then perhaps buying spawn in or a kit and growing the mushrooms out and trying to expand it with stem butt spawn or some other primitive form of spawning. And then working your way slowly into more and more blocks, finding ways to buy spawn in, expand that into blocks, then buying spawn in and expanding that into spawn. Now working your way back to creating a spawn bag for the very first time. Whether that be with liquid culture or even an agar dish. And then working your way into the lab setting. The lab setting is most crucial, and it's also the part that tends to yield the least in the beginning. It's the hardest part and the easiest part to mess up. And everything you do in the lab reverberates through the entire operation. So it's oftentimes better to let the professionals do that for a time while you learn your growing room parameters, what mushrooms you like to grow, which ones are easy to sell, and then go into the cost savings that is the lab work. When you get into lab work, one of the things I highly suggest is learning to work with agar, especially pouring by hand. This will make you a very adaptable lab technician. I'm all for the peristaltic pump. I'm all for the ease and that machine that makes pouring agar easy. But you'll learn by hand pouring that you'll be able to make far more recipes. Something that might plug up your peristaltic pump won't plug up a free pour. Making things simple and breaking them down into the simplest form that they can possibly be will only add to your success. You can always complicate things further down the line, but it is best to stay lean, stay focused, and really focus on your techniques over technologies. Technologies almost always cost something, and while they might add something, you will never regret investing in yourself and your skill set that will make you the most adaptable and successful grower you can possibly be. Thank you for joining us. Embrace these lessons and watch your mushroom cultivation dreams flourish. Please like, share, and subscribe for more mycology insights from us here at the Mushroom Cast. Thank you. All right. Yeah, like it, share it, comment it, subscribe it. Like it! What's Samantha? What's got you tickled over there?
I don't know about tickled, but I'm just wondering if everyone is thinking the same thing that I am. And did you see that massive block that had the mean green on it?
Yeah. Oh, I definitely saw it. And this is, oh my gosh, did you guys see the Instagram conversation that I've been having this
human
week?
Folks.
Where I mentioned the thing about, where 2 weeks ago on this live stream I talked about how, T.R. Davis got onto that guy who was condemning someone for having contamination. Well, there you guys go. You can see, even I have contamination. Lots of people have contamination. It's not going anywhere. I mean, that stuff is so common.
Well, that is one of the good things, or the kind of the greater things, in my opinion, of having small, numerous, individually contained batches.
Bags. like the bags
Yeah.
itself versus bed culture. Yeah, we've watched people try to do gourmet and bed culture at a place called Wind River, and once the contamination sets into the beds, it just takes over. Versus, with the bags, I really like the bags. If one bag's contaminated, you can just take it out and you're done.
And Dope Tip said, "Bro, contam fam."
Contam fam. That's a new T-shirt, Samantha. Guys, like it and comment if you want a T-shirt, a Contam fam T-shirt. Screw this. Like Willie Myko's got his trip team. Let's not do trip team. I want Contam fam. Speaking of, I don't know if you guys know this, but this actually happened years ago. We received a trike bomb.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
That was horrific.
It was horrific. This is something that people literally used to do to each other. Not very often. It was not common, so don't let me make you think it was common. But I swear, the mushroom growing in the early days was so freaking
Vicious?
aggressive. Yeah.
Vicious.
We opened up one time we got a box in the mail, and it was a contaminated block that had been shredded, and then when we opened the box, green smoke comes out, and it's just complete contam. with no return address that that led to anybody, and a no note, no nothing, no anything. People didn't like. I wasn't even into like bioprospecting or strain trading or anything at the time. Nobody had any reason to send me blocks. They just send me. Just got in this mail this trike bomb, and we had heard other people had gotten them too. Mainly people on YouTube. So mainly guys growing on YouTube. We actually don't open packages anywhere near our lab nowadays, just because of that stuff. But
Right next to the front door.
right next
It's
to
not
the front
outside of it.
door. That's right. So only we get infected, not the mushrooms. But yeah, it was horrendous. So there's another beginner toolkit for it, right? Like, guys, just everybody play along. Everybody work together. Stop thinking of it. Do not think of this as a what do they call that? A full sum, all sum game. Like this. It's not. There's plenty of room for everybody right now. At least right now, and for some time. Maybe one day we'll be all super competitive and crowded out. But at this point, the people who work together and network together and share information are the ones winning.
Yeah, but even then, what a awesome just industry in itself. There's so many variations, so many ways that you can go and do things. Like it's sure you can be a generalist, but you could also specialize in a bajillion different ways, and then take it onward. So something that Andrew and I started doing with our spawn here lately is we've been pouring dowels into the spawn, and I was sitting there thinking, how neat is that? We were talking about doing classes again because we've had a lot of requests for classes. So we were thinking about doing a kind of like a dowel plug spawn class because it's something that everyone is interested in. It's something that everyone kind of does, and you do it seasonally. So how cool is it to every year just have a plugging class competition, something fun to do, and you can do it with your spent waste from your mushroom farm. And then Andrew was talking about like bonsai plantings of spent blocks and growing moss, and there's a lot of really neat, super awesome accounts on Instagram that are doing this very same thing. And it's just there's so many different directions you can go. You don't have to sit there and just beat each other half to death.
Well, I mean,
silliness.
a lot of people are only aware of, like, especially back then, people were only really aware of growing mushrooms, right? Like, and selling mushrooms. So they didn't want another farmer appearing in their area. Coming to find out, there's plenty of room apparently for multiple farmers, even in a small metro like Knoxville.
Yeah, there's a lot of farmers there now, and
Yep.
and it's neat to see each one have they take a specific liking to a specific mushroom, and they get really good at growing that one mushroom,
Yep.
or a couple. Someone who's really good at chestnuts may not be really good at something else, or may not have the inkling or want to grow anything else, and so
Absolutely.
there's a place for that.
And then, as time went on and more people got into the mushroom growing game and being local mushroom providers, next thing you know, suppliers start showing up. And it's mainly for basic stuff in the beginning. You have your pellet suppliers, people becoming aware of mushroom. Like, all of a sudden, they're getting 10, 15 phone calls, like, looking for pellets. And they're like, what's up with this? Then you get guys going like Eric Myers, Midnight Mushrooms, Mushroom Media Online, Shroom Supply, etc. Agar Addicts for like, you have Agar Addicts, Tim from over at Tip of the Cap, Micropose, like it just kept going on and on and on. These guys who got into the supply side of things. And then, so you have the guys making the cash at the farmer level, and then each one of them siphoning some of that up to the supplier level. Now you have guys getting into things like genetics, cordyceps, supplements, people who are starting farms entirely to grow dried mushrooms for different value-added products. You've got chefs, dog food companies wanting mushrooms. Like, the idea of being, let's shut other people out because the market's too small. Every time the market has started to fill it just grows again into a new place, a new line. And so we don't even know what the next 10 or 15 years is going to look like. And even just because you get into growing now doesn't mean that that's where you're going to stay. You may decide that you like the supply side of things better. I personally don't. I hate the supply side. I like selling genetics. I like selling spawn. I like selling the even the ready to fruit blocks. You know, we just shipped off 440 ready to fruit blocks. We got another 550 to do now. And it's our blocks with our genetics. That's what we like. But that's what we wanted to be, was the genetics company. I personally, selling agar dishes, like just thousands of agar dishes, would drive me insane. It's just not my line of work. But it makes other people very happy.
Well, then you have the end of product spot too. Like when we went to the Oklahoma Festival, there were quite a few people that they were showing us some of their YouTube channels where they just took finished product and just cooked with it and showed recipes, and it was like I was drooling just watching some of this stuff.
What was that? What was that one guy's name?
Was it the Golden Mushroom Co. or
Golden Mushroom Company? Was that it?
I believe so. That was awesome. And then there was someone else. Oh gosh, we're going to have to make a list. But someone brought in some packages of freeze-dried lion's mane taffy balls, and it was taffy that had been freeze-dried, made with lion's mane, and it had puffed up to these little, just like cheesy puffs. But they were just awesome. They were so good. I could have eaten a whole package by myself, but they were really awesome. So there's that too.
Absolutely. It was Golden Mushroom Company, by the way. Well, we met him at Oklahoma Mushroom Festival, which we will be going back to next year, next October. In fact, I may or may not be speaking. I don't know. Am I allowed to talk about that? Maybe I shouldn't talk about that yet. Anyways, so...
Talk about it. I'll be the bad influence.
We met the Golden Mushroom Company at Oklahoma Mushroom Festival, and I will say that I knew of this guy's work just because the cooking videos on his Instagram are amazing. I really think that I could probably just eat mushrooms instead of meat if I had a chef available to cook like that for me all the time.
Well, and they're fun and engaging, and
the sound. Oh my gosh, the sound. That's what, the first time I saw one of those videos, I was like, the sound is perfect. And for video, it's funny, most people don't realize this. The most important thing for video is the audio.
I can see that.
People will watch a crappy video if it has excellent audio. People will not watch an amazing video if it has shitty audio. So... It's one of those weird little things like that I found out early on after making some.
That's an interesting psychological tidbit.
Yep. Well, that's focus on your sound, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm getting better, but do we have any more questions?
Unless my thing is frozen again. No. I just refreshed it. Something went wrong.
Something's wrong with Samantha's chat. So we're down to a phone for the chat, guys. We may we may be having some technical difficulties. Absolutely, Lexington. Glad you're here. And yeah, John, TR is small business at this point. As far as like fresh mushrooms go, I don't actually know what he's capped out at now on ready to fruit blocks. That is his main business. He's also got an excellent video on how to grow maitake. Nothing compares to the feeling of watching your bags flourish once you've purchased the proper blowing hood. That damn story's completely effed up, by the way, sending trike to people. The hell, man. And flow hood. Sorry, I'm like 3 double iPad deep already. No worries, man. Yeah, like the flow hood changes everything. You can create clean work without a flow hood, but the flow hood makes production much easier, much more possible, for sure. Captain says, I'm the only mushroom person at our farmer's market. I sell out each week, but I haven't been able to grow enough. Hopefully that will change. I am planning on doubling my grow. Absolutely. Bit by bit, step by step, block by block. That's how you do it. And Bad Tentacles was telling me no sum game. Thank you. I was trying to figure. I was like, full sum, all sum, like that doesn't nothing feels right. Do you think big farm is ever going to jump into this? Yeah, there's actually large farms doing this. Heck, during COVID, what's their name? It's Monterey Mushrooms called me wanting to know if I would contract grow for them. They wanted me to start growing thousands of pounds a week. I did not take them up on the deal. They were actually going to pay me to build out a room large enough to grow for them. But I did not. One of my biggest fears in business is to become a single client customer. I mean, a single customer client. Oh my gosh, a single client business. I can't speak tonight, guys. This is what I get for getting sick during the holiday season. But one of my biggest fears is to become a single client business, because the moment you do that and they decide they don't want you anymore, you're left scrambling. So even if I stay a little smaller, but I stay diversified, then I am more resilient. I am that mediocre that's going to survive disaster. So that's where I like to stay. But as far as like big farms doing it, yeah, there's already big farms working on it and doing it. A lot of times they're going to focus on stuff that's not like oysters. And I don't think that you're going to see much in the way of big companies doing, whole regions or like an entire country's worth of mushrooms and in big farms as far as oysters go, until we start seeing a distribution system like what the Dutch use for flowers. Somehow the Dutch are able to grow flowers and then have those all over the world, and fresh as fresh can be, in time for florists to take them, divide them, cut them, put them in weddings, and have them there for weeks. And part of this is a genetics game where they are breeding flowers to last longer and longer. Part of this is a chemical game where they're finding the right nutrients to stick in the flowers, the right temperatures. So part of it's thermal. And then part of it is just logistics. They somehow have their logistics down. Flowers, most of them just don't stay good for a very long time, and so they face the same problems that we as mushroom farmers face. And that is, how do we get it from us to the client as quickly as possible so that they still have time to use it themselves. One of the nice things is we did, like our King Blue in our walk-in, we did a tolerance test. And we left the mushrooms in the walk-in for 2 weeks. And then they were perfectly usable. So we knew King Blue was good, right? You get a lot of strains. A lot of the wild strains like to dump spores. And they have a lot more flavor a lot of times, these wild oysters, but their shelf life is much shorter. So, are there ways that we can breed more flavor in and longer shelf lives? Well, we're working on it, and we're having some success. And really, it's really just about finding a balance. What?
You flipping back and forth. You caught me during a moment.
Yeah. I've been trying to stay off.
Stop that.
I always assume that the camera's looking at you. Well, I'm trying to keep people from being bored just looking at me. They tune in for the blonde, not the brunette.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
That's
my beard's
nice.
actually looking way more red right now than normal. Wish I had oiled it before getting on here.
I'm getting sleepy, y'all.
I can tell. Yeah Man says, I transport flowers as a truck driver, and you'd be surprised what we have to do to keep them fresh in transit. I bet I would be surprised. And then at the same time, not surprised. I'd be surprised at the things that you have to do, but I wouldn't be surprised that you have to do them, if that makes sense. The people who do really well understand the supply line and control the supply line for their product. Agreed, Tentacles. I absolutely agree. Andrew, I saw that you added LC direct to pellet bags. How did they turn out? If it worked, how much longer did they take? Was there a difference in the production? Chris, there was... we've done several experiments with this. Not Not every LC took to every substrate. Enoki and Hericium took to almost everything. Oysters took to straw. In amounts up to 60 milliliters. They took 2 to 3 weeks longer to grow in. And in amounts of 100 milliliters, I can't remember how long they took to grow in. But oysters never really took to hardwood sawdust very well. I've got some things I want to try to see if we can't change that, but we are not there yet. So, but if you're using straw as your base substrate, like a sterilized straw, and it does have to be sterilized, pasteurized does not welcome LC very well. Your sterilized straw pellets worked out really well. Oysters took to that immediately. Yeah, John, we've tried to. I know lots of people have tried to cultivate morels. I've known one person to be successful, but they only got one seasonal crop out of it. The way they did it was to go out and hunt morels, found a bunch, cleaned them up, soaked them in salt water, and then cut all the bad parts, like the stem butts, the parts of the cap and stuff that were browned out, caught all those up and left them in that salt water, added sugar to it, and then dropped an aquarium bubbler into it, and then just let it bubble. And then whenever they actually saw it, what in the world? They saw growth. And as they saw growth, they took that bucket out and poured it around several trees. What are you doing? Hello? What are we doing? I think she's done, guys. She's showing me that she's done. Wow, I'm really fine. Okay then.
Well, I mean, mine's frozen,
Yours is frozen? Oh.
and you've
Oh,
got
yeah.
the goods over here.
Well, here's this. However, we are going to be going.
And I'm sleepy.
Call it a night. She's back. Yeah, I think we'll call it a night, guys. Samantha's tired. We've been sick, so we're still not fully recovered. And we've been on for about an hour and a half, 15 minutes. That's not a bad show for tonight. I like those 2-hour marathons, but let's call it an hour tonight, guys. Seemed LC might take the softwood a bit easier. Odd because the softwood always has more lignin content. I thought softwood had less. That's why it was soft. Baked.
Not baked.
No, she's not baked. Samantha is a what you call a teetotaler. If she goes to a party, and if Samantha ever has a drink in her hand at a party that you're at, just know she's not drinking. She literally took that so people would stop trying to hand her a drink. You know it's true.
I water the grass. That's not.
Right. Well, you guys have a very Merry Christmas. I know this is the last show that we're going to have before Christmas. So we will all have hopefully lots of presents and food and family. And baked like that. My bad. But go spend some time with your family. I know we all get obsessed about mushrooms sometimes, but remember the reasons why we do this. It's not just for us and our interest, but for our loved ones to grow food and fiber, fuel, medicine, or even to make money to put shoes on children's feet or to take care of our elders. So everybody just have a very Merry Christmas. Hold those that you love close, and we'll see you all again soon. Keep spawning culture, guys.